Stella Matutina, welcome to this little interview that we'll have here. My name is Müller and I work for the Catholic Academie, the Franz Hitze Haus in Münster, where the Landeskonferenz should have taken place in March. As we all know, it was not possible to meet personally, and we would have loved to have you there as our guest. And we're very happy that you agreed to share your experience also in this way. So thanks for this. Stella, you have experience both as a local activist on Mindanao and as an expert in international cooperation, especially in these last years. When we talked about this interview before, we said we would start with a brief insight in the situation in Mindanao, because Mindanao is standing as an example for many other places in the world. So if you could, in some brief sentences, just tell us the background, one of your backgrounds of your experience.
Yeah, so Christian, Dr. Christian Müller, thank you very much for this opportunity. And for me, accepting this invitation is not about talking about myself, but talking about the stories of my people. So when we talk about Mindanao, so we are talking about a place, the southern part of the Philippines. And it is a place where there are many indigenous people, 18 tribes are there, and we call them lumads. So that is the term used to call all the 18 tribes. And so when we talk about a shrinking space, I am always inclined to think about the shrinking space of the indigenous people in Mindanao. That means we are talking about land grabbing. The ancestral domain of the indigenous people are taken away from them for plantations and also for mining. And the moment they stand up for their rights, then the military comes in, and then there are these harassments, and this causes the conflicts. And so we are talking about ethnic war or all these situations, unlikely situations. So Mindanao is the land of promise because it is very rich in natural resources. We have very rich marine biodiversity. We have blue sea and white sands, pink sands, and also we are very rich in minerals. So we are the capital in Asia for mining, and we have a lot of mining companies for gold, silver, nickel laterite, iron, cobalt, etc. So this is a land of promise, endowed with so many natural resources, rivers that gives fertile land, you know, that gives water to our lands. And yet, at the same time, it is a place where it is very, very poor. So this is the picture that I want to show, the paradox of richness and the poverty of the people.
Yes, thank you. And as you said, it is an example of other places in the world. Let's maybe take a look at the local communities and the work that is done there by you and others in all places of the world, and the role of the local communities, their suffering, and the work to empower these. So what action is taking to empower the communities, to give them strength to empower themselves? And maybe what's your perception about the role of faith in this context? Maybe especially with a brief look on Laudato Si.
Yeah, so I am sharing an experience when I was a sister. I was a Benedictine sister at the time. And I am talking about the very active church in Mindanao. We have these basic ecclesial communities, and these are places where people really actively participate in the church. We form small Christian communities. So what happened when we talk about environmental degradation is we in the basic Christian communities, we discuss, we learn, and we make our actions. So my experience is, number one, it is very important to listen, because you know, either from listening we can make our judgment, you know, this see, judge, and act. Sometimes we can also like just remain in our comfort zone. So and so for me, when I listen to the stories of the people, when I listen to the faithful who comes to us, because we are sisters, they come to tell us their stories, then it was really moving me. And I think this is like what the Laudato Si says in Laudato Si number 19. It says that our goal is not to amass information. You know, there is information overload. We are talking about digital space. We have this bombardment of many information, but our goal is not to amass information, but to feel with the people. And I love this Laudato Si number 19, because we are challenged to dare to be with the people and to accept the reality, to see, because you know, we see a lot of realities, but it does not affect us. So when I talk about the stories of our people, my goal would be, or my wish would be, that we empathize and really go with them and feel their stories, to journey with them. And so that is what happened to me personally. I listened to them, and then by listening to them, then we were able to educate ourselves. We have Bible sharing groups, and we have different places where we have to study and organize ourselves. And then the strength of our faith unites us. And that also is what Laudato Si is saying, as we just don't stay with our faith, but we move into action. And what do we do? Actually, in areas where we are fighting against mining, we not only are fighting against mining, but looking some alternatives. And so we do lobbying, and we do campaigns until we are successful in our quest. And so that is where our stories are based, the success stories, because we were able to stop mining companies. We were able to stop the entry of the big machines to destroy our mountains. And I am talking about an experience in the Diocese of Mati in Davao Oriental. So that story was, for me, the beginning of my awakening in my environmental work with the people. So organizing with the people, being with the people, and journeying with the people. And that is our strength.
Yes, thank you for this. So I hear that Christian faith is not something abstract in this context, but it's also bringing people to action. And I've heard from you on another occasion that it was also in collaboration with other religious groups and leaders, but Christian faith plays definitely an important role. The main topic of the conference is the shrinking spaces for civil society. The defenders of human rights and the creation have sometimes not so good experiences with that, and also you personal. Can you just give us an idea of the obstacles and the threats that people who are engaging in the preserving of creation are confronted with?
Yeah, I will talk about my experience. The moment we are in the issue fighting against this large-scale mining, legal logging, the moment we are in that issue, you know, we are confronting big business corporations. And so we will be target of harassments. So my experience was first, they bribe me. They come to me, they offer me projects, they offer me money so that I keep quiet.
Okay.
And then that's the initial thing. Whoever is active in helping these people, we are approached. And then after that, the government Department of Environment himself came to our community, talked to our sisters that if we can collaborate with them and start our advocacy. And after that, because we stand united and we believe that we have to protect the environment, so they have to go further against us. Then starts the radio defamation. They will talk against us, sisters. Benedictine sisters are communists. That is the way to discredit our work. And then one day, when I was giving lectures, I was harassed by the military when I was sleeping together with my social action companions. We were raided by the military. So you can see, if we continue with our advocacy, educating the people, standing up for their rights, protecting against logging, against mining, then we will be killed. And literally, I was at gunpoint. And at that moment, I realized that this second life of mine, I will continue to dedicate for the protection of the environment. So if I am a sister is subject to this harassment, how much more for the ordinary people where they have no choices? You know, I could imagine very poor people, their houses are shanty. You just kick the door, you can enter and then shoot the people. And if they can do that to me as a sister, they are doing that to ordinary people. So from there on, I realized that when we work for the environment, we will be harassed. So I have experienced myself. I have 3 criminal charges. I was facing human trafficking, illegal detention for these indigenous people that I helped. And then to that extent that a warrant of arrest in 2016 was issued for us. We were 15.
By the government.
And yeah, by the government. And so there was a wanted, the moment your pictures are printed and posted in public places, it is just as good as shoot to kill. If the military sees you, you can be killed. And so that is my situation. But I'm not only talking about my situation. That is the situation of all of us, environmental advocates who are fighting for our environment. Because Philippines, in Forbes 2019, ranked #1 of the most dangerous place for environmental advocates. It was before Brazil and the American countries. Now it is the Philippines. So you could imagine that if we are there to fight for against land grabbing, continuous expansion of business, agribusiness plantations, then we will be harassed. And the government itself has this IDF, Investment Defense Force, which means investors will have a defense from the government. So the government will protect big companies who are coming to exploit our resources. And so it is the foreigners, it is the investors who are protected and not our people. So the moment we go against these extractive industries, the moment we go against this mining, large-scale minings, we are talking about Glencore Company, we are talking about BHP Billiton, Oceana Gold, international companies that are exploiting our land. We are talking about these big companies. And the government is there. And our law, we have a Philippine Mining Act that serves as a law for opening our resources for mining. And so for us, it is very difficult to fight and to stand for our rights because we don't like that all our lands will be planted with banana, for example, and pineapple. When we have to plant our own food, we should not be producing food for the overfed. We are producing food for the northern countries, for Europe, for America. But why are we not producing our own food? So our space is shrinking to provide our own food so that we can face, when you see this Agenda 2030, the Sustainable Development Goals, if you see these 17 goals, they are talking elimination of poverty, etc. Everything is about clean water, about the environment. And if you see, what is the help extended to us people, to the indigenous people? Because we are talking also of the many people killed. It is not just harassment. It is not just threats. When we talk about shrinking space, when I reflect on it, I even think, oh, it is a kind of sweeter, diluted reality. Our space is not only shrinking, we are actually eliminating the spaces. This is the reality from the ground. You eliminate, you took away, you displace the people, and it is far harder and far more violent, and that is the situation that I have experienced, and that is the situation that I am very passionate, and I believe that this is a pastoral imperative. This is a moral obligation that we have to do something to protect our environment, because you see, we are in COVID situation now, lockdown, and our spaces are also shrinking with this virus that is attacking us. But in the first place, we were the one who were invaders. We were the one who were the virus to the environment. We were the one who were distracting the environment. So that is like my story with the indigenous people, my story with our struggle from the ground to protect the land.
Yes, thank you for sharing this experience with us, also the frightening experience. And you said you were passionate about this, and I think even on the distance on the screen, there was some of this passion could be felt. So again, thank you for that. And hearing this, actually I'm not reading about it, is very important for us, because for us who are engaged in these things in Germany, sometimes it's hard to believe that in other parts of the world, if you are engaged in situations like this, you're actually threatened. You were saying spaces are shrinking, but when we've talked before, you've also said that you're full of hope, because there are also places where new spaces for engagement can be created. So maybe this would be the moment to look at what you've been doing since 2018 as an expert for Missio and Aggiamondo. If you would like to tell us some of the things that you've been doing there in a new context.
Yeah, we have this Aggiamondo project from the south going to the north, because traditionally it is the northern experts who are going to the south. So it is like the experts, the well-learned, the superior culture, many things. They bring their knowledge and teach the people below in the south. But this time, it is a new opening. It started in 2018, where we are one of those pilots projects now, where they start to invite the south to come here in Germany. And for me, it is really a big opportunity, because now we are creating a space. We are creating a space where we bring the stories of our struggles here in this developed country. Back in my country, development is a very negative experience. We don't feel that, because for us, it is aggression development. We are promised of development, and at the end, we are suffering the poverty and the economic deprivation. So coming here is to create a space where people listen to us, because many Germans, they did not know this thing.
Mm.
Because if you grow in an environment where your rights are protected, if you grow in an environment where you are fully paid, you know, in Germany, you don't have, I don't know if you have contractual workers, you know, one day, if you don't work, you don't have money, you don't have benefits, you don't have health insurance, for example, which Germany is very famous for that. So the social services are not there. So when I come here, it is bringing my experience and at the same time understanding and feeling how good it is. You know, when I come here, when I saw this Friday for the Future, how or this rally and demonstrations,
Yeah.
they are there, and you know, they are free to express themselves. But back in the Philippines, demonstrations is always a place, you know, it is a very dangerous place to express ourselves. So here, creating this space, we bring our expertise, we bring our experiences, and I think this is also like, you know, trying to do the balance
Yeah.
that the superior countries and the inferior countries, you know, this is not a very good terminology to use, but we are trying to see, to work on the projects, on programs, that how we can help together. Because when you listen to me, you might ask me again, then what we can do. So this create a space of discussion. This create a space of dialogue. What we can do together to address our issue. So I am very happy that this work in Ajamondo and in Missio, where I can travel in the different dioceses where Missio is, and I am invited to talk about gold mining, for example. I was in Pforzheim for the fair gold, you know.
Yeah.
It was a discussion whether gold is really fair, and the mining and indigenous people and Laudato Si. So for me, hearing from non-expert, you know, not non-academic, and from the experiences of the indigenous people about Laudato Si. So that is the campaign that I bring.
Yes, thank you for this. And it makes me again conscious to appreciate all the protection that we have here in Germany, and to try to support that other people, other countries have more of this type of security and protection. So to come to an end of this brief interview, what would be your message to us? How can we encourage all those who, for example, have watched this little interview? What can we do to support you in your work? What can we do to put pressure on our government, on our politicians, on our companies to improve the situation?
Yeah, usually at the end, this is the question wherever I go. And usually my answer is always the same. And people are frustrated with me because I don't give answer. You know, I feel like this is the situation and we have to design together. I don't like to give propositions. There are so many ways of doing things. Laudato Si would say, you know, the cultural revolution, lifestyle changing, etc. We have a lot of them. But for me, that's why there should be a workshop afterwards, because we have to answer together. Otherwise, it is coming from somebody who gives people, my listeners, what to do. But rather, what I would like to do, what I would propose that we do together, is that you feel the struggles of the people. Because the struggle in Mindanao is not only the struggle of the people, of the indigenous people in Mindanao. You have to change the place. You put Latin America, Colombia, Mexico, Tanzania, Kenya. You have to change the place. You have to change the people. It is the same reality. The global exploitation, the global land grabbing, and all these things is happening. And so what we can do. Be interested. There are many movements around. There are many initiatives. There are policy lobbying. You know, we don't need to create more, but to join the bandwagon. You know, it was asked in the Laudato Si, will you just look, or will you join the wagon? So I think there are already many movements. We have to join. And here in this one world, we have this opportunity together to design, to think what we can do. There are so many things we can do. And as I've said, we have to sit together to come up with a thing that is not my proposal, but our proposal. Because piecemeal solutions will not solve a big problem. It has to be a collective effort, a common design that we all make. And so with that, I would leave that space that we answer together.
Yes, thank you for this. So actually the key word is together. And I really hope that at the next Eine Welt Landeskonferenz we can meet together again, everybody, all of us who are engaged in the Eine Welt network and movement. I take your words as an encouragement to go on in our work in the Academy, and everybody who has watched this will be encouraged, hopefully, for this. Thanks once again, and we will close this interview now. I will stop the recording, and just in case something was not perfect technically, I hope everyone who watched this will forgive us, as we're both not experts in this. It was worth a try. Would you like to have the last word, Stella?
Yeah, but Christian, may I have a last word?
Yes,
Yeah,
please.
I'd like to end with this Laudato Si 244. Yeah,
Yes,
I'd like
please.
to end with Laudato Si 244 because it is the month of Mary. So it says, let us sing as we go with Mary, our struggle and our concern for this planet never take away the joy of our hope. So we continue to struggle, but there is joy that one day this hope of us for a better world will be there. Together we have to make for it. Thank you.